Today has been a fever dream of sorts. This morning we woke up to the news that obviously last night we knew Scotty Barnes wasn't going to be an all-star. It is what it is. We accept it. The Raptors suck. We're losing. It's tough to get a guy. It's on the fringe, stats-wise, into the all-star game. But we heard that Miles Turner and Derek White are two players that are ahead of him in the totem pole in terms of potentially getting into the all-star game. So it starts off with that. And then, your day goes along, you're dealing with all, we're going to play the Rockets tonight, Fred VanVleet, all that type of stuff. And then news comes out that your favorite team is favored to acquire the worst basketball player in the entire NBA. No shade toward Killian Hayes. There's worse players than Killian Hayes that have been in the league and stuff. But in terms of guys actually in NBA rotations, there's an argument to be made that he is one of the worst players in the NBA right now. Sure, there's potential and stuff, but, not the greatest name to be thrown your hat into the mix of, at least at this moment in time. Maybe he could develop into something great if we acquired him. And then tonight, we face the Houston Rockets. Are we favorited? No. But the Raptors, even when we're bad, we try hard. That Tampa Tank season, we tried our hardest out there. The games were somewhat watchable. The Crimson Flynn sanity was going crazy with Kevin Birch. That second half of that Tampa Tank season, and people were trying out there on the basketball court. But this Raptors team, even though we got a decent game from Scotty, there's some bright spots for sure. We got Schroeder trying to fight people, or at least hold on to the basketball, all that type of stuff. We looked dead, we looked lethargic, we looked just mentally out of it. And I'm hoping, I am praying, regardless if we don't win another game this season, this lethargy, this lack of energy, this losing sort of mentality is gone after the trade deadline. I'm assuming that this is just a case of half the team being afraid they're going to get dealt in the next few days, so why even try, right? So that's my holding out hope for that thought process there. And to make this day even weirder, just feel like even more crazy here now at this point, the Rockets broadcaster came out and had this to say about Fred VanVleet, entering in this game here tonight. I saw it on Reddit after.
Raptor, Fred VanVleet. Maybe we'll talk about this as the game goes along. Arguably the best Raptor of all time.
That's right, folks. Fred VanVleet, arguably the greatest Toronto Raptor of all time. Now, I wanted to start off this vid, thanking Fred. How many points did he have in this game in his return sort of to action against the Toronto Raptors? 10 points, 6 assists. Congratulate Fred VanVleet. He got a win, all that type of stuff. But then I see this, which just makes this day feel that much more confusing, that much more disorienting. Just not even as a fan, not even as a fan of the Raptors, the NBA, of basketball and stuff, but just of common sense in general. Not that I'm a fan of common sense. I feel like that's a buzzword that gets thrown out. But I mean, how on earth could anyone? I get that Fred VanVleet is one of the cooler stories in Raptors history. Being an undrafted guy that came to the team, won a championship, made an all-star squad, became the highest paid undrafted player in basketball history. Probably the greatest undrafted player, maybe Ben Wallace. He has the more storied career, but Fred has more of his story to write. Could be the greatest undrafted player of all time. That's a title you could throw out there and you can make an argument for. But greatest Toronto Raptor of all time is like me going out to the Houston Rockets in 2013 and saying, man, that Kevin Martin, after he got traded from Oklahoma City Thunder, that's the greatest Houston Rocket of all time. That might be a bit of an exaggeration, but that's like me saying, hey, isn't even Dwight Howard? I don't even know the comparison for the Houston Rockets here now at this point, but that is downright crazy. That is just, again, bad takes. They're just out there, you can float them around, you can toss them, you can dial them up, all that type of stuff. But when you make comments like that, like Fred VanVleet is better than the likes, in terms of what he did for the Toronto Raptors and stuff, Kyle Lowry, DeMar DeRozan. Everyone knows that have watched this podcast for a while. I'm not a fan of Vince Carter, but Vince Carter, the 1 year of Kawhi Leonard, Pascal Siakam, Chris Bosh, Antonio Davis, I don't even know what list you sort of want to go on. Sure, there's an argument Fred definitely in the top 10 or something along those lines. Especially you look back to the championship run. I feel like the opinions of Fred VanVleet are sort of, bashed on a little bit given how things ended with the Toronto Raptors. But number one, there's no argument. There's no world where anyone that has ever watched, has ever looked at the Toronto Raptors logo, has ever just been a fan of the NBA could argue in their right mind Fred VanVleet is the greatest Toronto Raptor in Raptors history. I don't know. This day has just been all over the place. Again, the Raptors, if you missed this game, horrible loss. Brutal game. We are building a culture of losing if we continue to have games like this. And I'm cool with a quick retool, a quick little rebuild, a quick little shakeup. I'm cool with tanking this year if it means we get this draft pick, but I'm not cool with games like that. Because that's when you get into the sort of mindset of the Detroit Pistons of the world, the Washington Wizards of the world, where, hey, let's lose these games. The Charlotte Hornets, where you got LaMelo Ball chilling on the sideline, laughing and giggling while the team is down by 35. Like, it's a slippery slope. Games like this are a slippery slope for the Toronto Raptors. And again, there's some bright spots. Again, Scotty Barnes, 28 points, 7 rebounds, 4 assists, but didn't really feel like anything too crazy. IQ hit some shots, which is a great thing to see. I'm happy to see Emmanuel Quickley and Jakob Poeltl back into the lineup. And folks, frankly, I lied to all of you guys. We're talking about bad takes, nothing not as bad as the Fred VanVleet one, but I said with a center in the lineup, a center on this team, we're not going to be good, but we're not going to be, Detroit levels bad. Well, I lied to you at least tonight, because with Jakob Poeltl, with an actual center back in the lineup, we looked that bad. We looked horrible. We looked brutal. This team just sucked tonight. It was no other way to put it. No other way to put it. Emmanuel Quickley, Scotty Barnes put up some solid numbers, but again, another mid-game from Gary Trent Jr. Having some big ones lately, but hit a couple threes at least, but disheartened. Poeltl, 20 minutes in this game. Bruce Brown, 5 points. He's just waiting to get the flight out. Got a couple of blocks, a couple steals at least, helping the folks that have him on his fantasy team. But Wara, only 16 minutes after the guy's been an absolute monster for this team. You can make the argument, minus 21. Well, you know what? No one had a good plus-minus in this game. Jordan Wara should be a guy, seeing if he's a guy to keep long-term. Dennis Schroeder, again, 8 points, 2 rebounds, regressing to the mean a little bit. Grady Dick, you watch him play, man, and he's doing a lot of things out there. He took a charge in this game. He's hustling, he's grinding. You got to get more than 3 points, Chief. You got to be better than 1 of 8 from the field. 0-4 from behind the 3-point line. 7 rebounds, awesome stuff. 3 steals, awesome stuff. Grady Dick has earned himself some minutes to work through the inconsistencies he has as a shooter early on in his career. Love that. Love that for Grady Dick. But love to see some more shots go down. Too inconsistent right now, but the dude's 20 years old. I'm not worried long term, but something you have to bring up, when you're reacting to every single one of these games. Thaddeus Young looks good. Thaddeus Young is playing his way into getting us a second-round pick. So shout out to Thad, man. Shout out to Thad Thaddeus Young. He's playing his way over the past couple of weeks. He's going to convince the Boston Celtics. He's going to convince one of these squads that he is deserving of a squad giving up a second-round pick for us. So you know what? Shout out to Thad. I pray he gets a chance to win a championship this season. So he's a good vet. Playing his heart out for the Toronto Raptors here now at this point. Gary Temple got 4 minutes. McDaniels. My goodness. That's a bad basketball player right now. Not in the context of things. Not to bash on the guy. All these guys would cook anyone off the street and all that type of stuff. But I saw someone say, I don't even know, I think Marcel sent it to me, but Jalen McDaniels is not making the Guangdong Tigers right now. He's struggling to make those, overseas leagues. He's playing down in South America or something. That's where Jalen McDaniels is playing next. It's a bit harsh. I feel bad. He's a good defender. But, this team sucks right now. It is what it is. A part of it, I think, is just everyone's on edge about potential trades coming over the next few days. So I'm hoping things sort of ease themselves into place, as the trade deadline happens. But we can't be looking this bad. We can't be losing games to this level, to this extent, to close out this year, or else we're going to breed a horrible culture for the young guys moving forward. Let me know what you guys think about all this Toronto Raptors news. Subscribe to the channel if you guys haven't already. I'm signing out. Cheers.